It is extremely important to understand what is actually happening right now. I truly believe over the next 3 years, you're going to see a complete rewiring of your financial system. And I believe that Trump is working to dismantle the Federal Reserve. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm sharing it with my facts, figures, numbers, logic, and my thought process on how I'm positioning myself and what I believe is the greatest transfer of wealth in history. I followed a pattern from 2020 to 2025, and it worked out phenomenal for my family and my ecosystem. Now, I have a pattern that I'm following from 2025 to 2030 based on the things that are happening right now, things that have happened in history, and pure macro and microeconomic data. So yesterday, Jerome Powell only lowered interest rates 0.25. He also signaled that he may be halting rate cuts. This is putting pressure on the Fed like crazy. It's creating like a slingshot mode. Imagine a slingshot just pulled back super tight. Well, they also announced that they're going to start buying treasuries. So quantitative tightening on December 1st, quantitative easing started. They're going to start buying bonds, printing money. And if he starts to halt rates when Trump brings in the new Fed chair, he's going to bring rates down hardcore. In 1913, a group of bankers had a meeting on Jekyll Island. That created the Federal Reserve. They're not federal, nor are they reserve. They're not part of the government. They've collapsed the dollar 96 to 97%. In 2017, I've showed you the video many times where Trump says we're going to be in an even playing field monetarily before we know it. He was worried about the debasement of the U.S. dollar. And now here we are. He's going to bring in a favorable person for the Trump administration that's going to bring rates down like crazy. It's going to devalue the dollar like you've never seen before. You're going to see more money printed than you've ever seen before. And you need to pay attention to stablecoins, decentralized finance, and the fact now that banks flipped. Banks like Vanguard, old-ass banks, are now allowing 50 million of their clients access to XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Franklin Templeton, Bank of America. The new monetary system is going to be decentralized. That's why I think they're going to dismantle the Federal Reserve. I think they're going to pull it up underneath the government for now. They're going to lower interest rates. They're going to last Hail Mary. They're going to print as much money as possible. And this is how I'm going to position myself from 2025 to 2030 and then kind of look at the landscape as we go forward in 2030. As I put my money in deflationary assets that have fixed supply, that are deflationary based on their utility or their scarcity. So what I do is I create cash flow through businesses and through dividend stocks. With that cash flow, which is someone else's debt, there's no money in the system. Your income is my debt. My income is your debt, so you're getting paid in someone else's debt. I take my income and I create cash flow. When I get cash flow, I put it into assets that have fixed supply. I'm positioning myself in what I think is a new monetary system for the next 100 years. Things like XRP, which is a bridge currency. Things like Bitcoin, which have a fixed supply, which is being treated like gold. It's the most scarce asset in the world based on its utility. WL, as in Larry, FI, the new World Bank that was created by the Trump family and Steve Witkoff family, which is decentralized finance. That's where it goes into my thought process of dismantling the Federal Reserve and the central bank, because we don't need the Federal Reserve, we don't need the central bank, because we have decentralized finance. I can transfer you a stable coin outside the system. Then I'm getting ABTC, American Bitcoin, on the stock side, and I just started stacking XXI on the stock side. So that gives me access to the picks and shovels, the Bitcoin treasuries. XXI is number 3 treasury in the world of Bitcoin. American Bitcoin just climbed to the number 22 spot out of over hundreds of Bitcoin treasuries. I have access to the treasuries, the mining with American Bitcoin, the picks and shovels, the gold, which is Bitcoin, the new decentralized finance model, which is WLFI, and XRP, which is a bridge currency. And I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to hold the line. I'm going to keep being open and transparent with you guys on exactly what I'm doing, so we can come back in 2030 and see how I did. So you need to pay attention more than just getting rich in crypto. You need to understand the macro and microeconomic impacts of what's happening right now. And understand that your financial systems will look completely different by 2030. So do your research, get prepared, position yourself, and assets will be part of the system for the next 100 years. Warriors, rise! Get your shit together. Love you guys.